this is a lot of going to be like choose your level, choose your adventure, all right? But just a little background. So I've been doing yoga now for over like about 15 years almost, and I keep coming back to it, especially when life gets hectic, all through medical school, residency, working in our clinical settings, and it's crazy. I keep coming back to it because the more I center, the more we can go with the flow throughout the day, and the more we can find a little bit of stillness and space when life just is so busy. So that's what I really hope today we can find that stillness, okay? And this time of the year in the fall is a lot of vata energy. So it's a lot of air and space with changing of leaves. And so with that energy, yoga asks us to actually do more grounding practices and more stillness. So instead of having to be flowing, we're going to be holding poses a little bit longer. And we're going to learn some breathing techniques that will really help us to reset our nervous system and turn on that parasympathetic nervous system or the rest and digest nervous system. All right, so let's get started. So we're gonna, everyone find a comfortable seated position. Usually it can be helpful to scoot forward a little bit on your chair so that you can have a little bit better spinal alignment. Checking in with your feet, making sure they're grounding, feet below knees. Crown of the head reaching for the sky. Inhaling our shoulders up to our ears, exhaling them down and finding space. Checking in with your jaw, unclenching if you're clenching, releasing the tongue from the roof of your mouth. And I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And just check in with yourself. Checking in with your body and just seeing how you feel today. Noticing your breath, acknowledging where it's moving in your body, knowing that there's no right or wrong, but just noticing these things. So throughout today's practice, I really challenge everyone to just continue to focus on your breath and focus on the sensations in your body. If you breathe and are just aware of how your body is feeling, you're doing yoga. So now inviting in a little bit of pranayama or breathing techniques. We'll learn dirga breath or the abdominal breath. So bringing our hands to our belly. Again, your eyes can stay closed or they can be open. Starting to breathe as we inhale in through our nose, directing our breath into the lower third of our lungs, and so feeling our hands expand. And then as we exhale, our belly button starts to move towards the spine, exhaling out all the stale air. So inhaling, belly expands, exhaling, belly reaching towards the spine. Continuing to breathe here. So just 4 deep abdominal breaths can turn on your parasympathetic nervous system. Breathing is so cool because it's the only voluntary part of the autonomic nervous system that we can control and switch between our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. That'll be enough science for today, okay? All right, so continuing to breathe here, I want to layer on a little bit more pranayama and work with some different other breathing techniques. So again, just respect where you are, because sometimes when we count and breathe, if you're prone to anxiety, that might be too much. So just staying with the abdominal breath and maybe focusing on a positive affirmation or a mantra like, I am present, I am at peace, whatever speaks to you. If you want to move on, we'll practice the equal parts breath. So again, still breathing into our abdomen. We'll breathe in to the count of 4 and exhale for the count of 4. So inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Continuing on your own for 2 more breaths. So now you can continue to breathe at this equal parts, but if you want to try, see how another breath feels for you, we'll do a 2 to 1 exhale to inhale. So we'll inhale for the count of 3 and exhale for the count of 6. So inhaling again into your belly, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'll invite you just to place your hands back on your legs and just see how you feel. Again, we started a little bit over 5 minutes ago. Hopefully everyone feels, as my son would say, chilled out and you're cool, man, okay? And just knowing that you have the power to do that kind of practice at any time. So now we'll start to bring in some asana, which is the postures and the shapes. And just remembering, so we're gonna work with the space we have, okay? And every pose is going to look different in every body, but if we're practicing yoga, which is breathing and feeling, then it doesn't matter what it looks like. You're just checking in and seeing where you're feeling the stretches. And of course, if anything doesn't feel good, you can just come back to just breathing, that deep breath. All right, so first just doing a little bit of neck stretches. We'll exhale, bringing our chin to our chest, feeling a nice stretch in the back of the neck. And whenever we're stretching, coming back, we're practicing that abdominal breath. So we're inhaling and exhaling. Then inhaling our head up. We'll stretch our trapezius muscle. So reaching for the left, taking your left hand and reaching toward the side of your chair. We are gonna keep our shoulder down, but bring our right ear towards our right shoulder. Feeling a really good stretch, good. Breathing in through our belly. And yeah, I'm not mirroring you guys, so you don't want my brain to have to do that. Good, and while you're here, keeping your hand at that chair is okay. Otherwise, if you'd like to explore a little bit more, you can raise that left arm out. Maybe experiment with flexing your wrists down and then up, and you might feel like something like a wow, that feels interesting, and try to stay there and breathe, okay? So checking in with your body, and even if you can like experiment with bringing your arm forward and back and just really working out any place that doesn't feel great. Again, always coming back to that breath, especially if it's a sticky spot. You want to breathe, and that's how our muscles really learn to release. Good. And we'll exhale, bringing that left hand down. Now, bringing our right hand, and we'll come to the other side. So this time, exhaling the left ear towards the left shoulder. Breathing. And again, taking that arm variation, just exploring. And I see a lot of people with their eyes closed, and that's so great. So you're still checking in. Good. Then releasing the right hand down, inhaling up. Taking our first overhead stretch for the day, we'll inhaling, bringing our arms up overhead, maybe clasping our hands and reaching up. And just feel, I don't know about you guys, but I am so tight, okay? Right? So we're gonna do this at the end, and let's see if we've really worked to open up, okay? So here, if this is too much, you can bring your right hand down to the chair, and we're gonna do a side stretch, okay? Otherwise, we'll clasp our hands together, pointer finger up, and as we exhale, coming to the right or the left. Doesn't matter, we're doing both sides, okay? Now, the cue here is a lot of times we can be rolling in, so try to stay open across the chest, checking in with your hips and seeing if they're off weight, trying to press equally, and arms can be straight. If that's too much, you can bend them, good. Feeling a nice stretch in the rib cage here. Then inhaling, coming up, exhaling, hands to heart center, taking a break before we do the other side, and then inhaling, arms overhead, and finding your variation on the other side. So remember, you can just do this, or can clasp your hands together, fingers up. Good. Then inhaling, coming all the way up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Good. Now doing a little bit of seated cat and cow. So for this one, we're starting in that neutral spine. Putting our hands on our knees, we're gonna inhale and we'll bring our heart forward, slight arch in the back. And then as we exhale, again, we're squeezing our abdomen in and then rounding through the core. Good. Take that as a good sign, okay. Inhaling, coming forward to our cow. Exhaling, rounding through cat. And I invite you to continue this breath, this movement at your own pace. And you can kind of stay in a spot, and if it feels good, move maybe left to right. But really engaging your core as you come into cat. Good. After your next exhale in cat, we'll come back to a seated position. And now we're working on all of the 6 different movements of the spine. So now we'll do some spinal rotation. The biggest thing here is when we have our hands, when we're doing spinal rotation, there can be a tendency to use your hands to go further into the pose. You don't want to do that. That's how you might herniate a disc, okay? So instead, we're same principles. We inhale, we find length. We exhale, engage our core, and as you squeeze in your core, that's where you'll be able to find the length, to be able to twist a little bit more, okay? But not with your hands. So, inhaling, bringing our hands out to a T, growing long. Exhaling, engaging your core as we start to face towards the right. The left hand reaching towards your right knee, the other hand that's behind going towards the back of the chair. Again, if you're doing the opposite way, it doesn't matter. We're gonna do the other way again, okay? I won't leave you hanging. So we inhale, we find length. Exhale, squeeze in our core and turn. An option to look past that right shoulder behind you if you wanna twist the neck a little bit. Good. Exhaling, coming back to the front. Good, unwinding. And then opposite side of whatever you did, okay? Inhaling, growing long, our hands coming out to a T. Exhaling, engaging that core and looking toward the other side. Good. Again, with each inhale, you grow long, and with each exhale, you twist a little bit more. Whenever I get nervous about teaching yoga, I have to laugh and remember, it's just yoga, right? So it's okay if we're doing the opposite sides. Okay, then we'll unwind here. Okay, so I really want us to explore downward dog or child's pose, because these are great poses for just really stretching the thoracic spine, and we all need that from how much sitting we do all day. It's going to be a little challenging because just of our setup, but I'm gonna give 3 different options, and feel free to use the wall, use another chair, okay? Just be cognizant of your neighbor, of course. So the first option for child's pose is you can just bring your knees a little bit wider apart, and we'll exhale and fold forward and just allow our neck to relax to gravity. And you can stay here if this feels good to you, feeling a nice lengthening of your thoracic spine, of your upper back. Breathing. Good. If you'd like to try a different variation, and you have the ability to do so, and since you can't really be watching and doing the pose, I'll show all three, and then everybody can find what they want to do. How about that? Okay. So this will be if you have the ability to grab a chair in front of you, okay? So people in the front row might be a little bit hard, but again, my legs are a little bit wider. I'm going to fold forward and grab the chair in front of me. And so people behind you, as long as you don't like squeeze your neighbor's butt, I think it could be fair game, okay? And even you could try this at home, and you're allowing some lengthening here. The last option, and if you guys can be creative and figure out how to do this, and I'm thinking if we all do it so we stand and face this side, so if anyone who wants to try this standing gets up right now, what it's going to look like is coming back like this. And it feels, and like, again, it's gonna look different in everybody. Bear with me, guys. Okay, but this is so good for your hamstrings and for lengthening. Okay, so we're facing our chair. Okay. Oh, good, you guys are doing it that way. That was smart. Okay, so however you can make to work it, then we'll place our palms on our chair. Okay, good. Then we'll walk our feet back until our back is parallel to the floor as we reach our hips back and bring our chest towards the ground. Good. Wherever you're at, try to breathe just 5 deep breaths. Good. And again, if you can't do this because of our setup, just sit in your chair, and we're coming back to this. All right. So everybody come up. So I apologize that got chaotic, but I hope everybody can try this sometime because it seriously is one of the best things to do in the middle of your workday, okay? So again, you find a chair, not a rolly one, and then you'll back up and just stretch, okay? Then you're gonna really lengthen your tailbone and your head away, and you have a nice stretch in your hamstrings. If you need to bend your knees, you can, okay? All right, so the other pose I wanted to teach today was Warrior One, okay? I'm gonna, again, show 3 different variations, and everyone can choose the option that they think fits best for them. Warrior One is a great pose for stretching your psoas, your hip flexor, and we sit all the time, so we're kind of folding in on ourselves. So anything to open here is gonna be very helpful, okay? A lot of back pain can come from really tight psoas muscles. So option 1 for Warrior One, again, having a little bit of a wider stance. And we'll inhale, grow long, exhale, rotate over that right leg. And then inhaling, bringing our arms overhead. Good. From here, if that is too much on your shoulders at any point, option to bring your hands to your heart. Otherwise, if your arms are overhead, checking in, trying to make sure that our shoulders aren't coming up to our ears. And there's this mix between being strong in the arms and then feeling a little bit of ease in the pose. Good. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Coming back to the middle, and now we'll do the other side. So inhaling, growing long, exhaling, squeezing, turning over that left leg, inhaling, arms overhead, Warrior One on the other side. Good. Exhaling, hands to heart center, and coming back to the middle. Great. So now you know that option. If that's where you want to stay, great, okay? We're all gonna, this time, face, again, this side of the room. And we're coming to warrior one on this side. So the left, okay, so your right knee, I'm gonna do it right, okay, is at a 90-degree angle over your right ankle. This left leg is going to be back. We all have different anatomy, okay? You can just stay up with your heel down. If you can, ground down through that back foot, you can do that, but I don't know, I feel like that was a lot. Our hips are moving to face towards the front, okay? You guys back, good back there? Cool, okay. And then we'll inhale again, our arms overhead. This is awesome. You guys are doing so good working with the space we have. So coming back to our abdominal breath and knowing you always have that option to bring your hands to your heart if this is a lot on your shoulders. Good. And we'll exhale, bring our hands to our heart center, and we'll go to the other side, okay? All right. So this time, our hips are facing this way, knee over the ankle. So the more you can really stretch through that back heel, you're gonna feel it in the hip. And then you can inhale your arms overhead, good. Good. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Coming forward again. And now I'd like to offer the third variation, if you'd like to, and have some space standing next to your chair, okay? So the full expression of the pose, do we even have room for this, or should we not mess around with it? Okay, so the full expression is going to be one knee over the one ankle, and then the back leg is backwards, and you're really directing, like you're grounding through the lateral edge of the back foot, and our hips again are facing forward, and you're tucking in the pelvis. The more you tuck the pelvis under, you're gonna really feel that stretch there, okay? But again, everybody's anatomy is different. So if you come like this, that's also doing the pose, okay? So if you have balance issues, the wider your stance and the closer together is gonna be helpful. So, and after the class, if anyone has more questions about Warrior One, we'll go into it more, but just, I don't feel right that some people can do it and some people can't because of our space, so we'll move on, okay? So, all right, we're gonna do tree pose next, and I do think there's space for all of this. She's like, I'm not just and if you don't, yeah, there you go. Okay, so tree pose, if you want to do this one standing, I think there's space. If you don't want to do it standing, what I encourage you to do is just practice bringing one knee up here, and then the other when we change to the other side. Okay. So everybody who's standing, you have a chair, so you have a help with balance, okay? Anytime you do a balancing pose, you need three things. A non-moving point to focus on. I'm not that, okay? I'm gonna be moving. Your breath and your core. So if we're breathing and exhaling and engaging our core, we got all three, right? So starting on our left side, we'll start to ground all of our weight into our left leg, bringing our hands to heart center, coming up on the tiptoes of this right foot, and maybe just doing a little kickstand here, knowing if any moment you need, you have your chair. If you want to move on, you could bring your right foot next to your left shin, not foot to knee, okay? It's not good. Breathing here. Yeah, I see someone closing their eyes. That's awesome. That takes even more balance, and just recentering. Good. Then we'll release that right foot down and come onto the other side. So this time grounding into our right foot, coming up on the tiptoe of the left, staying here, or again, if you want, you can Bring that left foot up into your leg. Breathing. Good. Then releasing that foot down. All right, and since everyone who's standing, we're gonna do one side stretch standing before we start to wind down. If you're sitting, you already know the side stretch sitting, so we don't have to review that. But we'll inhale our arms overhead. Grab our right hand for our left wrist as we exhale to the side and feel a little bit more of a stretch. Good. Hips facing forward, making sure we're not rolling. Good. Inhaling, coming up. Finding length, left hand towards right wrist, and then exhaling to the other side. Good. Inhaling, coming forward. Exhaling, hands to heart center. All right, so one last pose that, again, I'll give 3 variations before we start to wind down to our meditation. This is such an important type of pose for this time of year because anytime we bring our head below our heart, again, we're turning on our parasympathetic nervous system. So if you just can't calm down, bringing your head below your heart will help that process. Okay. So the first option I will give seated, and that's going to look a lot like the child's pose option from before. So, and other options are standing, so if you can see which ones you want. So we'll exhale and fold forward. Opposite hand can reach for opposite elbow. This is a very passive pose, so just allow your body to kind of melt down, release any tension in the back of your neck. Okay. If you want to try one of the standing ones instead, we'll inhale, coming up. And for standing ones, first we'll just do standing forward fold, and then I'll show you the wide-legged forward fold option. So, inhaling, arms overhead. Exhale, hands through heart center as we fold forward. You can have a nice soft bend in your knees if that's a lot on your hamstrings or back. And again, allowing our neck to release. Opposite hand, opposite elbow. You can reach for the floor, whatever feels good. You can also use your chair if it's too much and come like this, right? My head is still below my heart. There's many different ways to do it. Now, if you're down here and want to see the wide-legged forward fold, we'll inhale, come all the way up. Exhaling again, hands through heart center. And for the wide-legged forward fold, we're gonna have our ankles be almost as wide as like if I were to put my hand out, then my ankle's below my wrist. Toes are slightly pigeon-toed in. And again, you have the chair. So we'll inhale and find length. Exhale, slowly forward fold. Stopping here at the chair if you want, or coming all the way forward. Hands reaching. If your hands for this one don't reach the floor, I do encourage you to use the chair, or if you have at home when you're practicing a book or a block. And again, wherever you are, I've taught all 3 variations. We're going to take a couple deep breaths here, okay? Again, resetting our nervous system. Good. And then we'll inhale, coming all the way up. Good. And now everybody finding a seated position. All right, so the last thing I wanted to lead everyone in today was another type of pranayama or breathing technique. It's called Nodi Shodhanam, which is basically alternate nostril breath, okay? There's a couple different mudras or hand positions you can use, but just to keep it simple, we'll be using our pointer finger and our thumb. So we usually use our right hand if you can. We'll plug our right nostril with our thumb as we exhale through our left nostril. Then we'll inhale through our left nostril. Switch our fingers, so plugging the left with your pointer finger, breathing out the right. Inhaling through the right. Switching our fingers, exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Switching our fingers, exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Releasing your hand down, remembering to wash your hands later. And then I invite you one last moment. We're going to just close our eyes. And refocusing on our body. Seeing if we feel any more open. If we've been able to calm our energy. And as you're just breathing here, whenever we breathe and just pay attention to our breath without judgment, we're meditating. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have a thought. Meditation isn't just like a blank space. It just means that you're aware of your thought without judging, and you see the impermanence, and you allow that thought to just come and go, coming back to the breath. Something I heard recently that's really stuck to me is that it's not about controlling your thoughts. It's about not letting your thoughts control you. When you're ready, slowly opening your eyes. Bring a little movement to your fingers and your toes. Bringing hands to heart center. In yoga, at the end of practice, we say namaste, which means the light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.